congratulate, give some individual recognition for some people who really went out of their way to make this all possible. Okay, first and foremost, let's say thanks to Keith Harris and his wife Chris. I look forward to having him for many more years, just like myself, instead of not just when your kids are here. Okay, and I'd like to recognize our Vice President of Great Plains Pop Warner, and that's Lori Russell. And I think almost all of you know him, if not you should. He's the Great Plains Pop Warner Secretary and Director of Ethics, and that is Glenn Mitchell. Catherine Clayton will be speaking today. He's our guest speaker, so I should really shut up and let that man talk more than I do. The important thing is that you're here today to have fun, to recognize these kids, because they're a lot more than just good players. They're good students as well. Thank you.
I like to talk, so y'all are going to hear my voice in between every person, so get used to it. So, one thing that I want to do definitely, and that I forgot in my introduction, is that I want to say to all of our little scholars that are here today, one of the things that I did see us a little bit short on, that a lot of people don't think about, because we think sometimes about getting good grades, but one of the things that we don't think about is doing things outside of sports in our communities. Okay? And I know as parents, as you start going through that list, because if Great Plains Pop Warner is asking, okay, what community activities are you involved in? Obviously, when your kids go for scholarships and they go for grants, things of that nature, colleges, universities, if they want to be involved in, National Junior Honor Society, they're going to be asking, what things have you done in the community? So I make this call to each and every one of our scholars that's represented here today. Be inspired as you leave from this banquet. I also want you to go out and do some things in your community. It could be volunteering somewhere, at the library, at a hospital. Do things in your community. And one of the biggest things that I want each and every one of you to do, because as you heard Mr. Opheim say, we're 800% increased from last year on our scholars. We want that to be 8,000% increased, okay? So we want to call on each of you to go out, go back to your teams when you go play next year in Pop Warner. Go back to your teammates and let them know how great it was coming to the banquet. Let them know how important grades are, because they could get other honors and other recognitions, because this is like winning the state championship. Okay? This is no different than winning a state championship, because you are the academic champions of this state. Okay? Some of you won regional championships, because those that are announced later as first team regional little scholars, that means something. You won regional championships. Let kids know, because it's also exciting to do well in school. Okay? Now, no further ado. Mr. Clayton is going to be introducing himself to us in just a little bit, and hopefully everybody got the email that I sent out, because I'm going to be calling on each of our scholars, because you're bright young men, for sure. I'm going to call on each of our scholars to stand in place and just tell us a little bit about yourself. We named this Something About Me. So as I call your name, please stand and promptly introduce yourself to Mr. Clayton, so he knows who he's talking to, okay? So first, Devin A. Gill, would you stand? Speak loud so we can hear you. Okay. Can you tell us some other things? Who's your favorite NFL team? Seattle Seahawks. Okay, so I know I don't need to ask you who you're hoping to win the Super Bowl. Right. What's one of your favorite Pop Warner memories?
My favorite Pop Warner memory is when I got my first touchdown.
Your first touchdown? Do you remember who you were playing?
I was playing the Saints.
All right. And what do you plan on doing when you get older?
I plan on being a CEO.
All right. Before you sit down, though, Devin, do you have any words that you'd like to say to your parents or coaches or Mr. Clayton or anyone going to be the skit, gentlemen, that listened. Y'all have a benefit. Y'all heard Devin go through it. So those same questions. And I'd like you to just answer them on your own without me asking them, okay? So next, Brendan M. Janowiak. Did I pronounce that? Hold on, did I pronounce that?
Janowiak.
Janowiak, okay.
Hi, my name is Brendan Janowiak. My favorite team is the San Francisco 49ers. Sadly, we lost the Seahawks. I plan to be a Marine or a cop. And what was the other one?
The last one is any words or messages to your coaches or anybody that's here in the room, parents.
No, but my favorite football moment was last year when I got my very first sack.
Right, do you remember the team that was against?
I believe it was the Saints also.
The Saints also. Oh man, poor Saints. Next, Mr. Dylan L. Baker.
My name is Dylan Baker, and my favorite NFL team is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I want the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. And my favorite part one of the memory was when I scored my first touchdown.
Oh, was that against the Saints? Grizzlies, okay.
And then when I get older, I want to be a park manager or a game warden. And then I'd like to say thanks to my dad for coaching me. And thanks to my coaches for taking time out of their busy schedule to coach me.
All right, next, Derek Kalel Mormon.
And my favorite NFL team is the Steelers.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna have to have you guys now. This is not just you, Khalil. Everybody's gonna have to speak up a little bit. So just scream it out. You won't hurt our ears, all right?
My favorite NFL team are the Steelers, and I'm the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. And my favorite moment in Pop Warner was when I got my first touchdown, and I think it was against Tigers. And then I like to thank my coaches and my family for helping me out.
All right, thank you. All right, next, Mr. Jaden McGarry.
My name is Jason Gary. My favorite NFL team is the Denver Broncos. My favorite Pop Warner memory was when I scored 6 touchdowns against the Skyhawk White.
Oh, all right. What do you want to do when you get older?
Play in the NFL.
All right. All right, next, Mr. Jalen Corner.
My name is Jalen, and I'm in the 6th grade, and I'm 12 years old. I go to Springville, and my favorite NFL team is the Seahawks. I also, when I get older, I either want to be an architect or an artist. And my favorite Pop Warner memory was versing Skyhawks black, because it was always a challenge. I also, and words from my coaches were, thank you.
Next, Jalen Simpson.
Hello, I'm Jalen Simpson. My favorite NFL team is the Denver Broncos. And when I grow up, I want to be a Denver Broncos wide receiver and or a linebacker. And I want to say thank you to my coaches.
Okay, and last but not least, I don't, if I miss somebody, okay, all right, Coda Rowland. happy?
Second year of Miami Heights when I South. And my
I believe last but not least, Christian Harris.
Hello, I'm Christian Harris. I'm 13. I go to Alice Buffett Magnet Middle School. Favorite team? I got two, like the Steelers and the Chiefs. I want the Seahawks to win. And when I get older, I want to be a family practitioner. For those who don't know, that's like the doctors you go to for checkups and medicines. What I gotta say is, just gotta say thank you to all the parents and coaches here and who may not be here for just pushing me to keep my grades high, make sure I can get to things like this. And just yeah, I'm glad they drove me to do that, so that I would be able to see things in the future.
A wonderful bunch of young men that we have here today. Okay, and one thing that because I like to point out things that are important. The reason that we had them go through that exercise is because this banquet, obviously, it's not about us. It's not about the adults. All right? We typically are doing the things that we're going to do for the rest of our lives. It's about them. It's about helping our youth grow up and continue to do good things and to encourage them to do that. So very good job. So with no further ado, I am going to take my seat. The gentleman that I am about to introduce is going to be talking to each and every one of you. There's some of you that are here that you can learn a lot from listening to him today, because I heard at least one or two of you talk about that you want to track the same path that this, I'll call him young man. I'm not sure if he's younger than me, but I think we're all young as long as we're young up here. That this young man follows. So you can learn a lot from listening. And one important part that I hope that he points out today is that even after all of the things on the field are done, that education is the thing that's going to make you professional beyond the football field. So with no further ado, I'm going to call Mr. McCathorn Clayton to the stand. Mr. Clayton has had an outstanding career. Okay, he was a Pop Warner player, and then he went from Pop Warner to playing college football at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. He was our starting quarterback, and he went to the pros from that point. I'm not gonna take a lot of time announcing him, and he's gonna put that all into his presentation. So with no further ado, would you give a round of applause?
Good afternoon. I tell you, I think it's tough to follow our players today, because I got to commend them. It's not easy to stand up and talk in front of your parents, your teammates, and everybody else. I do this quite a bit, but I still get butterflies, when I speak, because I want my message to come across to the audience, especially when I'm at an event like this. Keith had mentioned that my path has come different directions, but it stayed the right course to get me where I'm at today. And what I tell you today is nothing from a textbook that I've learned. It's my personal experience. And it's what I would tell my kids, what I tell my two daughters every day when I see them striving to do things they want to do. Okay? Because I've had some bumps in the road, but I was able to deal with that adversity, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. What's tough for me is to have 10 minutes to talk to you, because I'm a talker too. And I tell good stories. Right? But as Keith mentioned, I Pop Warner football back in the mid-'70s in Orlando, Florida. That's when I played. And then you can't think about the '70s when your parents were probably younger at that time. But I played Pop Warner football I was involved in the punt, pass, and kick, which I won 3 or 4 times, which was fun. And then from there, I had an opportunity to play high school football, and I played it very well. And I played it good enough to where any college in the United States wanted me to come play at their school to be a student athlete. Now think about that. I was good enough that if I called any college in the country, they would say, yes, we want you to come play, and we'll pay for your school. And that was something that I was proud of, and I took that opportunity, and I came to the University of Nebraska where I played quarterback. And I understood that that's what I wanted to do, was play quarterback and play football. But there were other things that I had to learn and understand. And that started at an early age. So I'm going to bounce around a little bit with my talk to you. But I played at Nebraska, played that well, ended up getting injured at Nebraska. And I lost my starting position at quarterback, and I had to switch to a different position my senior year, which was defensive back. So I went from throwing the football, getting tackled, to defensive back, hitting people, which I like that better. I didn't like being hit, I like to hit people better as far as football, okay? Then from there, I had a chance to be invited to the NFL to play for the Miami Dolphins. So you went from Pop Warner, high school, college, to the NFL. How many of you would love to do that? Raise your hand. Pretty cool. It was something I dreamed about, breathed it, talked to my mom every day when I was in the 4th and 5th grade. Every day. I would tell her, I'm going to play football, I'm going to build TV, I'm going to buy you a house, I'm going to make a lot of money. That's what I told her every day. And all she said was, I need you to get your books, pay attention in class, respect the teacher, okay? Respect us at home. Respect your friends. That's all I want you to do. She never got excited when I brought home a trophy. She would always say, get your books, respect your teachers, respect your friends, respect your family. And this was a mom who raised us by herself, single mom. So she never came to the parent-teacher conferences. Okay? Her first time parent-teacher conference, she was excited because she wanted to say, I'm Mrs. Clayton, McCathorn's mom, the one who gets all the trophies, but I want to talk about school. The teachers were excited, they just swarmed her. And she thought they were going to give her compliments for her son. They said, your son, he comes to school, writes his name, and he goes to sleep. Doesn't do schoolwork. Comes to school, writes his name on a piece of paper, and he goes to sleep. This was 5th grade when it started. I wrestled, I played football, I did martial arts, did all these activities. So maybe I went to school and I was tired, right? No. My interest wasn't there. I wanted to play sports. When I went to school, I wanted to go to sleep. I didn't want to think about school. I wanted school to be over with so I could go play sports. So what do you think my mom did? She came home, she was crying. She said, what you will do is go to school, get your books, get your grades. I want to be average. I want you to get B's or better. Okay? Respect your teachers, and we'll see when you can go back out to sports. So I said, okay, I'll go back. 2 weeks, I'm going to get my grades right. She'll let me go out and play football because, again, I did punt, pass, and kick. I did Junior Olympics track. I came up to Nebraska in the 4th grade. I was the fastest 100-yard dash. And you guys don't have dash now, 100 meters. And I came up to Nebraska. In the 5th grade, she said, you're going to get your books. 2 weeks. I said, I'll be back out for sports. You think that happened? 2 weeks, parents?
No.
5th grade went by. 6th grade went by. 7th grade went by. 8th grade went by. How many years is that? I mean, well, she said, you're not going to play sports if you cannot get your books. Respect your teachers. Because was that respectful for me to write my name on a piece of paper and go to sleep? Was that respectful? No. But what I did was, my friends would come up to the house and say, we can't wait till you come back out for sports because we'll miss you. You're faster than anybody on the team. I said, yeah, I probably won't play. But what I did do, in the 5th grade, I got my first, I started getting A's. And I would bring my report card home to my mom. You know what she did? She cried. She never cried when I brought home a trophy of joy. She cried when she saw the grades. When she saw the teachers, when she went to the parent-teacher conference, she said, well, he's doing well. He's one of the top students. Because my drive was to get back out on the football field, get back out on the track, the basketball court. So I'm going to get these grades because I can do it. But my focus wasn't there. So in the 9th grade, and I told my buddies, I said, I'll probably play sports in college. But I was so happy. 9th grade, 8th, 7th grade, 8th grade. I was so happy when I brought home my grades, but it was competitive to me too. Because I not only proved to myself that I could get good grades, it was just the classroom. My peers, my students, my classmates. That I can get A's just like you, can present in front of the class like you, and sports was on the back burner. Right? So 9th grade came along. Went to school, came back home with my report card, with my homework. Mom walks up behind me and she says, "How'd the day go?" I said, "Oh, good. Just do homework." She says, "Okay. You going out for football tomorrow?" 3 years. She said, "Are you going out for football tomorrow?" How do you think I felt?
Excited.
Excited? Right? And you gotta remember, my brother played football. The coaches knew, think of McCathron played. Who has a name like McCathron, right? And I was pump passing kids, so the coaches knew me in high school. Now she turned me loose, I can go play football. You know what my thought was at the time when she did that? Not to play football. This is never going to be taken away from me again. It wasn't taken away, I gave it away. Because I didn't apply myself at school. I didn't respect my teachers at that time. So when she unleashed me to play football, 3 years went by. 9th grade, I went out there with the work ethic, with the drive. I could play football, but listen, fellas, I got to get my homework done. Because it's not getting taken away from me again. I got to get my books. I got to do that. That was my mentality. So from 9th grade, I started varsity quarterback. Had a nice little strong arm, punt, pass, and kick, remember? Started varsity quarterback. The high school hadn't won a game in 2 years, our high school. So my first year at quarterback, we went 5-5. Won 5 games. The next year, we went to the Metro Championship. Next game, we went to the state championship. And so by the time my sophomore year in high school, I was an All-American. As a sophomore, All-State. I didn't even think about that. All I thought about was, I gotta keep playing. I gotta keep getting my books. It was that fear of something being taken away from me. But it was also the joy that I saw in my mom, in the teachers as well, that, you can do it, you can get your grades, but I was never bad, I didn't cause any problems, but it was disrespectful when you're not doing your work in school. That's disrespectful to yourself, to your teachers, and your family. And that's how it all started. When I realized in high school that my mom, and Keith mentioned that you need to do things in the community, my mom saw that at the games, how many younger kids, like elementary school. It was funny, one time we were walking walking somewhere down the street, my mom and these kids were playing football. And one kid said, "I'm O.J. Simpson." Another kid said, I'm Walter Payton." Another kid said, "I'm McCathron." And I was in high school, and the kid said that. And I was just like, my mom just looked at me and says, I said, "I know, get your books, respect their," we were laughing. She didn't say that, but I thought of it. But it was one of those things where I realized that in the 11th grade, the impact I had on others, on younger students, my teammates, my teachers. But I can tell all of you today, right now, you're one step ahead. What you're doing today, how you're being awarded today. And all of you mentioned what you want to be when you grow up. You want to be a CEO. You want to be a police officer. Okay? What I can tell you now is that competitive drive that you have now to score touchdowns, to be a team player, to respect your parents, to get up and talk in front of people, that's going to get you there. Okay? The sport that you're playing now is a pedestal. It's a standing block that you can use to your benefit. Okay? To help your teammates, to help your students. Imagine this. If you're in high school, you're playing sport, and even now, in junior high, other kids can't do what you do. Other kids can't play football. They may not have the ability. They don't have the drive. So you're already ahead. You're already in a leadership position. You can do things that others can't do. So when you see things happen in school, whether it's the kid that doesn't look like you, doesn't look like your friends. Oh, he looks different. He acts strange, but he's smart. You see somebody push him, somebody talk about him. That's what guys look at you. They look at you because you're an athlete. You can say, "Don't do that. He's all right." Then you speak to him and say, "How you doing, John? Jason?" That's what you do. That's your responsibility right now that you can do to make a difference at your school. mature enough, you're able to stand up and talk in front of us, you're able to look friends in the eye and other kids in the eye and say, hey, that's not right, that's wrong. You don't have to tell them that they're bad, you just say, God, look at that. You know, what they're doing, if this kid is not brought into your crowd, say hello to them sometimes. You'll make a difference. Okay? But I know you're excited, you want to get to your awards, but again, I appreciate you listening to my message because it's one thing. It's a matter of how good you want to be. How good do you want to be? Where's Dylan? Is it Dylan? Dylan, where's Dylan? Stand up, Dylan. I mean, do you really want to play football? You want to be really good? Really good? See, if you really want to be good, you take that same drive, what you do, you do that off the field. You got to do things really good off the field. Okay? Because your mind has to be clear to play sports. Get your books. The best grades you can. You know what? Listen, I got 2 daughters and I've never seen rooms because you're an investment. You know, and you know where the NBA gets that from? From corporate America. You know, I work for a company, Union Pacific Railroad. You know, not only did they look at my resume, interview me, but they also want to, you know, how's your background? Give us some references. Who can speak for you that you are the type of person we want working for our company? That's what NBA and NFL today, they're taking that same philosophy. Like, we cannot afford, we're spending $30 million on this player. You know, what are we getting here? Right? So what you're doing now today, what you're going to be doing with your community is going to help you in the future. So important. All right? I have teammates who didn't follow that same road. I have teammates who played in the NFL longer than me. And they make millions of dollars. And when their career is over, they don't have those millions anymore. And they don't have the ability to talk to someone to get a job. Because they're not applying themselves like you're applying yourself today, and you're going to continue to do that. And it's sad to see. Okay, it's very sad to see. So I want to say that McCathorn played my favorite NFL team, Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though I played for the Dolphins, they don't pay me anymore. So it was Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I mentioned before, I speak to a lot of different groups, and some athletes, a lot of businesses, and some of the athletes, they can go and look at they remember who I am. And college students, you guys don't remember. It was long ago. You know, it was funny, my daughter, I spoke at her school, I said, who's your dad? She said, McKay played for Nebraska. No, he didn't. So she got a little iPhone. Google my name. Oh, goodness. You Google somebody. You know, you got to be a good example, good or bad, right? She Googled my name and all this came up. She goes, oh, he did play. So the next class period, the guy goes, yeah, but I see your dad threw 2 interceptions also in a Fiesta Bowl. So Google could be good or bad, right? But, so my favorite team, Pittsburgh Steelers. San Francisco 49ers I like. Jim Harbaugh. He's the San Francisco 49ers head coach. Jim and I are good friends. Jim, when we came out of high school together, he was out of Michigan. I was out of Orlando. We were top 2 quarterbacks. So we went recruiting visits together. And then he went going to Michigan. I went to Nebraska. And we played in the Fiesta Bowl together against each other. So we kind of stayed in contact. Russell Wilson, the quarterback. You know, Russell met him at a quarterback camp in Orlando, Florida. So I just want to see a good game. Because I met Peyton Manning before. You know, this is the thing about sports. The thing about just having a drive to do what you want to do. You'll get around good people. Like Peyton Manning. I met Peyton 3 years ago. The coach who recruited me in Nebraska, name was Gene Huey. He left Nebraska and went and coached with Coach Dungy at Indianapolis, coach where Peyton was. So I would go to Indianapolis and say, hey, come to the stadium. All of a sudden I go over and this tall guy, Peyton comes up and he's like, yes sir, how you doing, sir? It's Peyton. So now, Russell, Peyton, I don't know. I just want to see a great game. Right? You want to see a great game? Yes. Okay, tell you what, any questions? Let me put that out there. Any questions for any of you? Somebody has to have a question. Whether it's sports, academics, whether, you know, what I did growing up, what? Any questions?
Don't be shy, guys. Come on, if there's a question.
No question? From the parents?
Yes.
Yes. When I played NFL or college? NFL was fun.